Good afternoon, Weber fans. Welcome to the Weber Pulse. This is the inaugural episode where we're going to dive into current students, coaches, faculty, staff. My name is Trey Heath. I am the men's and women's tennis coach here at Weber, and today, starting off this episode, none other than the current director of athletics, Brad Niethammer. Brad, how long have you been at Weber?
This is my 27th year.
27 years for those of you in the modern language lingo. He is an OG here at Weber. Brad, how did you get into coaching, and why was coaching kind of where you wanted to go?
Coaching started for me once my baseball career ended. Like most, I didn't know what I wanted to do as a profession. Started working at Lake Wells High School with my younger brother when he was there, and kind of enjoyed that. Coached high school just a couple of years, and then someone reached out to me about the job here at Weber. Lucked into it, and I've been here ever since.
And when Brad took the position here at Weber, for those that are unaware of that beautiful baseball field that with some of the most gorgeous sunsets in Polk County, I just want you to know that field was built. Brad watched the dirt get turned for that field to be created. When did the field actually get built?
Good question. 1990, when you're here for so many years, you kind of lose track of time, but 1998, I believe, was the first year. Actually, the first class that we had didn't ever get to play at home, so it would have been 1999 would have been the first year that the field was built.
For all the current students, I walk around the campus now and we see the beautiful turf fields, all the different athletic facilities, and the first 4 years Brad was on campus, you guys played in Frostproof, didn't you?
We actually played at Chain of Lakes, we played at Polk State, we played at South Florida State, Frostproof High School, and Fireman's Field in Sebring were all the fields that we had to use to participate.
Nothing like traveling for home games.
Yes.
So Brad started out as a coach. He's been in it for 27 years. One of the things I wanted to touch on with Brad is he came from two different types of schools. You started out at Olney, which was a junior college, and then you transferred to Appalachian State, go Mountaineers. And I say that coming from my dad also graduated from App State as well. So tell me about that transition from small college athletics to larger D1 athletics, and now where you find yourself in the NAI world.
The junior college route was good for me. I was actually a better basketball player out of high school than baseball, so I had the opportunity to play both. I ended up only playing baseball because I quit playing basketball because it was too much. So my baseball game probably wasn't where it needed to be at the college level, so junior college route was good for me. Back then we got to play over 200 games in 2 years.
Oh my goodness.
So I really developed as a player and then had the opportunity to earn a scholarship at Appalachian State. So went from a small junior college in a town of Olney, Illinois, which is known for white squirrels, to Boone, North Carolina, to play Division I baseball.
Awesome. How was the culture shock from going from Olney to Appalachian State? Because we deal with athletes that we get them from all over the world, big towns, small towns, and they come to Babson Park. You have probably some insight on those different culture shocks that student athletes may face.
I don't really think it was a huge change because I think in the sporting world, the main people you hang with are your teammates. At the small junior college, a lot of people were recruited from all over the place, and at Appalachian State it was kind of the same thing. There were a lot of players from North Carolina, but we also had several out-of-state players. And here, starting in the coaching world, a lot of our players, when we started off, were from the state of Florida, and then the longer we coached, we had some international kids and got a lot of out-of-state players also.
Very good. Want to talk also, you started the program at Weber. Do you have any fun stories of what that was like from 1994, getting the field through kind of your career? Do you have any fun, quick quips that you can tell us about as far as like players, antics, different things, the sun getting in a batter's eye with the new field? You know, as pretty as that is, I've heard stories about like players complaining about the sun.
We are known for the sun delay. Not too many people have that in baseball, but with the sun setting in center field, we've had several sun delays where the umpire can't see the ball, the catcher can't see the ball. I think the biggest thing would just be I call it the resume builder. Our coach Garrett, myself, we were kind of hands-on. We did a lot of the work ourselves just to try to save money. So things that I didn't know how to do, I learned how to do. From putting irrigation in to keeping up the field, fertilizer, herbicide, and so forth. Just trying to maintain it. Had a lot of funny, I don't know one right offhand, but we've had some interesting players through the years. Some of them may not be PG, some of the stories. So we'll just say I've had a lot of interesting stories, and some we can tell and some we can't.
Some off the record things. There are some really funny stories if you ever get a chance while they were building the field of nature that they ran across as they were digging up things, the kind that slip and slide and attack. I guess we'll go with vipers. One of the things also I wanted to talk about was having the fact that we're in the small college athletic world. Coaches do multiple jobs. The director of athletics does multiple jobs. And now working with a team myself, we all do kind of this, the student athlete, they also are involved in other things around the campus. Now that you're the director of athletics, do you still find yourself yearning to be involved in other things around the campus, or like, I think we should do this? Do you still find yourself looking to be involved in more than what you should just be involved in right now?
I'm always looking. I think one of my strengths is with facilities, just from having an opportunity to build one from scratch. So those are always things that I'm looking at to see areas that we can improve on. The challenge is always there's a lot of things you want to do, but you never have enough money to do them. But it doesn't hurt to put the wish list in place. But that's probably the biggest thing. Just I don't think there's things that I would get into that I didn't as a coach. I think the transition for me, I just relate director of athletics now similar to coaching. Instead of coaching your student athletes, the director, you're coaching your coaches. So it's very similar. A lot of your coaches can be similar to some of the players that you had. Just personality-wise, the type of players, you have those same type of coaches. So I think the transition, you're still dealing with people, and I think that's the biggest thing. You got to be able to, if you can deal with people, you can direct the staff as well as coach.
So for all you current students and you future students, don't be afraid to look for opportunities. They're here. The size of the school doesn't matter about the opportunities. The opportunities are there. Brad didn't know how to build a baseball field, and they have an absolutely gorgeous. Come check us out and look at the baseball field. It's stunning. One other thing I want to touch on is sometimes we see the improvements. You see the baseball field. You see that now softball has its own field. You see this beautiful turf field. You see hammocks around the campus. And some of the improvements we don't see. Students can see the visual. Is there something that is coming down the pipe that we may not see as staff or students or future students that's going to make an improvement for students here on campus?
I've got a list of things that I want to continue to grow facility-wise. I think the biggest need that we have right now is lights for the multi-purpose field. The hours in the day and the schedule with adding men and women's lacrosse is really going to be challenging. Every sport uses the facility, from strength and conditioning in the morning. If they don't do anything else, a lot of them are working out early mornings on that field. So I think that's probably the one area that will really help us out with scheduling of not just practices but games. But yeah, we've made a lot of improvements. The baseball field was obviously the first, what I would call the nice facility on the outdoor facilities. Softball field is in really good shape now, having the multi-purpose field, and we just redid the soccer field, and it's in probably the best shape of any field that we've had down there. So, I think coaches now are taking more pride in the facilities, which is good. I think baseball coaches know that's always kind of a given, but some of the other sports I think sometimes don't realize that and have the same attitude. Sometimes if you want improvements, you got to do things yourself or fundraise for them to improve.
And as we talk about the facilities and the programs and the strength conditioning aspect of Weber, you're around a lot of other schools. You're around a big schools, small schools. How do you rate our strength conditioning here at Weber?
For small college, I would rank our strength conditioning number one. I've had the opportunity to travel to several other small NAI schools. Most of them are amazed to realize that we have strength coaches for each sport. Most schools will have one or two, possibly three, head and a couple assistants. Coach Steve Razzle, created the program here. We had strength conditioning before, but when he came in, he's the one that kind of created what we have now and had a vision. And we're still trying to grow that. Right now, we're actually looking for a head strength conditioning coach. We're in the process of that, but it's a great program. I think one of the selling points to create it was to prevent injuries, and I think we've shown through the years that that has happened by improving on the strength conditioning side of things. But facility-wise and in the number of staff that we have, you just don't see it at small schools, especially in the NAI.
Adding on to that, we have at Weber, we have some sports that some schools don't have. We have bowling. You see them in the strength conditioning. Have you ever been to the bowling facility to watch them train? And could you ever process, as a baseball coach, could you ever process that bowling could be helped with strength conditioning?
No. I've actually been in when the bowling team was working out. It is something that I don't think in your mind you would think of that situation. But our bowling team is awesome. I had the opportunity not to practice with the team, but years ago got to visit the facility, and one of the coaches kind of walked me through some of the things they do. I know Coach Dell, I was talking with him the other day, and he said I need to come back because they've done a lot of upgrades and have a lot of other things in place. But yeah, our bowling program is one of the tops in the country, with all schools, so it is very impressive, and they work hard just like anybody else, any other athletes, so they're in here getting after it in the weight room.
One of the serious subjects we have to touch on, as much fun as it is to always talk about fun stuff and growth and moving on, everybody's been dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic, and Weber has done an outstanding job managing that for their athletes and their students. You are probably in red hot meetings day in and day out regarding that management. As we move towards 2021, how do you feel about what Weber has done and what Weber will do moving into January of next year?
Well, first of all, I'm glad the Sun Conference and Weber, just the university itself, wanted sports. I think we had some schools in our conference that wanted to see us postpone, but the majority ruled, and we went with it. It's not. We've had some hiccups. We've had to postpone some games, but we got through it. We just finished up. We're in postseason with men and women's soccer and volleyball. Our men's soccer team won in the first round, and they're heading to play Kaiser tomorrow. So good luck to Coach Neal and the men's soccer team. But yeah, I'm glad we did it. I think the university needs sports. Our student athletes need sports. Again, we've had some setbacks with pretty much every sport participating, but we got through it. The conference, I think, has done a very good job of putting things in place to where we all can still compete and be safe. And that's kind of the game plan for the spring, because I don't think this stuff's going away. We're still going to have to deal with it in the spring, but it's just, to continue to play, continue to make sure everybody's doing the things they need to do to keep their athletes and coaches safe, and keep sports going. I think, like I said, we need it. Our young people need to stay active.
I don't disagree at all. And we'll wrap up with this. You've been at Weber since the summer of 1993. It's now 2020. What does it mean to you to be a Warrior, and has that thought changed over the years that you've been here?
I think times have changed a little bit. I don't know the exact numbers, but I think there were 300 and something student athletes when I first started. And I think this past fall, the start was 701. So we've added a lot of sports. The sporting rosters have grown. I think the biggest thing that I recall, I mean, I always said, I think back sometimes and just kind of go, I've spent over half my adult life here at Weber. But it's always been a family atmosphere. I recall the first visit that I had here. That's kind of the selling point to me. And I think that's still something that Weber takes pride in, where this is, you try to create the family atmosphere, and I think some of the alumni, when they come back, you will hear that. I think we can always do a better job of it in all areas around campus as well as in athletics, but I think that's probably the biggest thing. It is a family here. It's a small place, but it's an awesome place to come get your education and play quality athletics.
There is something to be said about being a lifetime Warrior. As we wrap up, I want to thank Brad Niethammer for his time at the inaugural episode of the Warrior Pulse. Look for these on a weekly basis. We will bring you athletes, students, faculty, and staff every week at the Warrior Pulse. Thank you.